Hi folks, I'm Professor MJ and I'm back to preview another NFL team's 2020 season. Now in this video, I'm going to discuss the Baltimore Ravens. Now the sports books believe they are expected to win 11 and a half games this year. And the big question is, should we bet the over or the under? Well, the answer, which is going to be backed by an in-depth statistical study where I simulated the 2020 season 1 million times, is coming later in this video. So keep watching until the end. And subscribe to my YouTube channel to get more insightful sports betting information. The Ravens finished as the top team in the NFL with a 14-2 record. However, the season ended on a sour note as they lost 28-12 at home against the Titans in the divisional round. Baltimore finished first in points scored and third in points allowed. It doesn't get any better than this. Their running game was historically great. They racked up 206 rushing yards per game on average, while the second best team in the NFL was San Francisco at just 144. Now, can the Ravens replicate last year's success? Let's review each position on offense, and let's start with quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson was nothing short of spectacular. He was a lot of fun to watch. He was only the second unanimous MVP winner ever. He ran for 1,206 yards, but he surprised many with his arm. He threw 36 TD passes versus just 6 picks. While those numbers are jaw-dropping, I find it hard to believe he can be as good in 2020. Maybe teams will figure him out better and find ways to contain him. You cannot really ask Baltimore's quarterback position to do better in 2020 than what they did in 2019. Finally, note that Robert Griffin III remains the Ravens' backup QB this year. Let's move on to talk about the Ravens running back. Mark Ingram and Gus Edwards were a very good 1-2 punch, on top of having Lamar Jackson running like crazy. They will be 30 and 25 years old, respectively, so there should not be too much of a drop-off. At first, it was believed that Justice Hill might push Gus Edwards for the number 2 role in 2020. The 4th-round pick out of Oklahoma State had a good rookie season. However, Baltimore's backfield is pretty stacked with the addition of rookie J.K. Dobbins. He is very likely to pass Edwards and Hill on the depth chart. It won't be easy to unseat Ingram though. Dobbins rushed for over 2,000 yards last year, while also punching the ball in the end zone 21 times. He can also catch the ball well out of the backfield. He has the tools to become a 3-down back in the NFL for sure. Let's move on to the wide receiver position. Not much change at this position either, except for the loss of Seth Roberts, who caught 21 passes for 271 yards and 2 TDs, so that's not a big deal. The top 2 targets will be back in 2020, Marquis Brown and Willie Snead. Brown's rookie season was a success, as he caught 46 passes for 584 yards. He finished 3rd among rookies with 7 receiving TDs. However, his college career ended with a foot injury, and he says it hampered him at times during the 2019 season, and he faded down the stretch, despite nice numbers in the lone playoff game. Indeed, he scored just 1 TD over the last 6 regular season meetings. Snead was not particularly good. He ranked 101st out of 122 wide receivers by PFF. During the regular season, he cleared 50 receiving yards just 2 times. He caught 4 passes in 1 game and hauled in 3 passes or less in the remaining 15 matchups, which is bad. So overall, this is a bit of a shaky group. Given his history, Marquis Brown is a likely candidate for injuries, and if that happens, they will be in trouble at the wideout position. As mentioned earlier, Snead is not very strong. Seth Roberts is gone, and Miles Boykin is not scaring anyone either. So depth is clearly an issue here. Most observers believe the Ravens would address the position in the draft. However, Baltimore waited until late in the 3rd round to pick a wide receiver, Devin Duverney out of Texas. He's a slot weapon who caught 106 passes for close to 1,400 yards and 9 TDs last year. Obviously, the 106 receptions are impressive, but keep in mind that he benefited from 42 screen plays going his way. Let's now talk about the tight end position. The team was loaded at this position with Mark Andrews, Nick Boyle, and Hayden Hurst. These guys finished 2nd, 12th, and 4th out of 66 tight ends according to Pro Football Focus. Having 3 of the top 14 tight ends in the league in the same team is unbelievable. Unfortunately, Hurst left for Atlanta. But as good as he was, it won't be a huge blow to the Ravens, considering the depth they had. It's time to talk about the offensive line. All guys on the offensive line finished above average according to Pro Football Focus, which is unreal. The bad news is Marshall Yanda announced his retirement, which leaves a glaring hole at right guard. Yanda played 88% of the offensive snaps and finished as the 4th best guard in the league out of 81 guys. His replacement will have big shoes to fill. One of the main candidates to replace him is free agent DJ Fluker, who is coming over from Seattle. The 29-year-old's play has fairly dipped over the past 3 seasons, after 4 promising years with the Chargers. Fluker graded out as the number 48 guard out of 81 players in 2019. Still, this is a very strong group, but expect a drop-off compared to last year. So, all in all, what can we expect from the Ravens offense in 2020? Well, how can you not expect this unit to decrease its production? They were unbelievably effective last year. They are probably going to regress towards the mean. They did not add any key players on offense, except maybe rookie J.K. Dobbins, while losing Hayden Hurst, Marshall Yanda, and Seth Roberts. Teams have had several months to find ways to slow down Lamar Jackson and company. It's highly unlikely that his numbers improve over the 2019 campaign. Also notice how the Ravens offense did not suffer any big injury all season long to key players. Now, it may not be the case once again in 2020, as injuries occur on a regular basis in the NFL. Let's talk about the 2020 outlook for the Ravens defense without going over the position-by-position breakdown. Baltimore's defense allowed the 3rd fewest points in the league last year. They are still going to be difficult to score against. Calais Campbell was a great free agent acquisition, and to a lesser degree, Derek Wolfe too. However, losing Michael Pierce, Chris Wormley, Patrick Onwuasor, Josh Bynes, Brendan Carr, and Tony Jefferson will hurt. Most of these guys played about 50% of the snaps, and they will need to be replaced eventually. The team has little to no depth at linebacker. Patrick Queen has a lot of pressure on his shoulders to step in and perform right away in his rookie season. So overall, I believe the Ravens defense will see a slight decrease in its effectiveness to stop opposing offenses, but they are still going to be pretty strong. It's time to answer the following question. Should we bet the Baltimore Ravens to win over or under 11.5 games in 2020? In order to answer the question, here's what I did. I simulated the 2020 NFL season 1 million times via the use of a statistical software called R, and by following the win probabilities for each game according to the point spreads as determined by the sportsbook called betonline.ag. Because by the way, this bookie has already posted point spreads on all 2020 games. Now, after simulating 1 million seasons, I simply told my program to count the number of times the Ravens ended up winning more than 11.5 games and less. And here are the results. In 52.3% of the cases, the Ravens won 12 games or more. After looking at the odds from many online sportsbooks, the highest odds I found are plus 105 at FanDuel. By the way, that's the equivalent of 2.05 if you are more familiar with decimal odds. Now, considering those odds and our chance of winning the bet, our return on investment, our ROI, turns out to be plus 7.2%. Now, what about the under? Well, it won in the remaining 47.7% of the cases. And this time, the best odds I found were at B-Win, and those odds were plus 100, or 2.0 in decimal format. So that means the ROI is equal to minus 4.6%. So, my final betting tip is to bet the over. Now, obviously, do not bet the over at any odds. Okay, so in this case, the break-even odds are minus 110 or 1.91 in decimal format. That's based on our chance of winning, which is 52.3%. So I would argue that you should play the over if you have odds that are at the very least plus 100 on the over. Now this 7.2% ROI turns out to be the 27th highest ROI among the club's 32 teams. So tomorrow, I'm going to unveil the team whose return on your money is 26th in the league. So subscribe to my YouTube channel to get all my betting tips on NFL regular season wins in 2020. I'm Professor MJ, a statistics university professor from Canada. I'll talk to you again very soon.